Hi, folks. This is Jeff again. I'm kind of like in a series of these videos about explaining the language industry and things. Uh, so the what about this session here, and I'm not going to do very long as the previous one, which is an hour because I've been telling a story. But I'm going to tell a story here, but this will be a little more specific. So the what about this session concerns how the language industry for solutions and services is a B2B business and it's not a B2C business. And I want to explain that. Um, why I'm doing this is because this is very misunderstood, I think, across the industry of tech doc writers and translators and others because they're looking sometimes it's considered to be B2C and it's not. And this needs to be understood in order to be able to sell a service or a product or whatever, where it's very different. I'll give some examples as to kind of explain how this impacts how we see quality in customers and all that. How I'm doing it, I'm deciding to do this in a video format, not a written format, because in the end, people won't read something in a LinkedIn post that's too long to read. So I'm going to explain the video. I can use my hands, gestures to try to explain it and to give a little bit more of that approach and a little more multimodal than just one single written form. Okay. And I can kind of tell a story, and that helps. Um, who it's about, you can see my LinkedIn profile. I don't have to explain who I am, but who I'm addressing here are um, I'm addressing people that come from, that can be language teachers, who could be language professionals in general. So it could be language teachers, it could be language communicators who are content writers, technical communication writers, marketing content writers, authors, whatever we want to call these people, knowledge management, whatever, and translators, and those that work with them to provide services and products. So it could be developers of software that do translation software or authoring software. It could be project managers. It could be the salespeople, and all kinds of people in this industry. Okay. I don't want to sit there and spend an hour explaining all the different roles, but that's the who I'm addressing here because this is really important here. Where am I doing this? I'm doing this on YouTube, and this can be posted on LinkedIn and maybe different social media, whatever. When I'm doing this, the 13th of November in 2021. And so I've covered all the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay, so that kind of sets the scene about what we're going to talk about, or I'm going to discuss here. So I'm going to give some examples where B2C, that is business to customer, happens. So business to customer kind of sales happens in services and solutions where I'll give a basic example. You go down to a bakery, okay? I go down to my local bakery, I buy some bread here in France. I got my baguette, under the arm kind of thing, my little beret, okay? And so I'm going down to my local bakery. That's a business. That is a business to customer relationship because I'm going with money. I'm buying a baguette, bread, or a sandwich or something that I'm going to consume, within the next hour or so. So that's a business to customer relationship and a scenario. And that's in retail for like buying clothing, buying food, buying, whatever. Okay. So the whole retail scene. Okay. So that's shoes, etc. So that's a business to customer relationship called B2C. Now in the language industry, I'm being very generic here, where we do have B2C is in language teaching. Okay, so if I'm going to go take a German class, which I've done, if I go take a German class with a German teacher through some, business professional language center or at a university or in some classes offered by maybe the town hall or the city hall or whatever, or some, association or, some whatever, okay? That's also a business to customer relationship because the teacher is interacting with the learners who are going to learn the language. And then that's a business to customer relationship. Okay. Now, what will happen after that is, what will the learners do with the language can be used for B2B or B2C, business to business or business to customer, or, and when I'm saying business and customer, don't take business to mean it's always selling and it's always a business. It could be a government, it could be an association, nonprofit association or org, it could be an NGO, whatever. Okay. So business doesn't always mean money and business. It just means a provider. Okay. And customer doesn't mean that you're buying something. It means that you're receiving it. Okay. And are you the one receiving it and using it? Will you be the actual person receiving and using it? Okay. So language teaching is a B2C scenario, but then what the end user will do with that, or the learner will do with this, could end up being a B2C situation where, if you're a tourist and you're going to another country and you need to buy the food in the bakery, then that's a B2C relationship that the end user, the learner, is now using the language learning in a B2C context. Okay. But that could be that the language learner will now use it in a B2B business or situation scenario, where they might be using their language skills in order to give a presentation, to pitch an idea to someone else, so that they can receive the service, and so that they may do for their own service to their own customers. So that's a B2B relationship, or that the end user will use in a B2B situation. But they could be a B2C. Okay, so I want you to see the different scenarios here. So that's for language learning, language teaching, and language learning. So even in the university context, the same situation. The students will be using it, learning it. They might use it or might not, but when they do use it, they might be going off to make a trip, or make in the summer or the next year, the next vacation or whatever. And they might be using it in these different scenarios. It could be B2B, B2C, okay? And then you can sell it customer to customer. So we could actually talk about customer to customer, B2C, and C2C, and C2B. I mean, I'm just trying to make some basic scenarios here. I don't want to go into all the different variations here. We'll have this super long video that no one's going to watch if it's too long. So, but I want to bring this back into, let's compare what I've said about when software companies, so that's kind of the language teaching. Now, when software companies, like anyone providing a solution for I don't want to give any specific names here, but anybody that is selling some kind of software solution to a customer, usually what they're doing is, if like a financial services. So if you got some kind of financial software, and a financial software company is going to go ahead and try to sell their product to a company that has, certified financial consultants and accountants, then that is a B2C relationship. Okay, so that they're trying to sell it. Well, they're probably going to sell it to like the decision maker, but the end users are in the company. They're going to be using the software to do accounting. Okay, so it's a B2C situation. Business software, financial software, accounting software. Then they're going to sell it to the company that, at least as the end users, are going to use that product to do their work. Now, what they might be doing is doing it as a service for someone else, but the end users are actually those users. Okay, so, and this is a very typical scenario of a lot of software situations. Okay, the end users are actually going to be using it, and there are lots of variations of this. I mean, there are always exceptions, but I'm just trying to give a scenario and a kind of a general example. Now, in the language industry, which includes, most of the time, it's content creators of whatever. It could be marketing content, it could be technical content, it could be specs, it could be what's new, it could be release notes, it could be whatever. Okay, so there's that, plus the translation of those. And I'm saying where you're promoting your products or services. Okay, so that's what's happening. But so those are the people that are creating content for their own products in order to sell their products or services to customers, right? Now, when you're in the language industry, what happens is that the language industry will promote solutions and services. That is, maybe translation products. It could be machine translation or computer-generated translation products like automated translation, um, trans, automatic translation or machine translation, sometimes called, or it could be translation memories. What and then there's services around that. So there could be services of providing technical writers or translators in a vendor relationship or in an in-house relationship, and then have the vendors work, and then insourcing it, and then providing the service to another customer. In this scenario, it's always B2B, because if I'll give the example of my company today. So my company today works at SAP. It's up on the website. We have 70, 80 translation providers. We have that's for the translation, but we have technical writers that and content writers and marketing, whatever. Most of them in house. We do have people that are probably that are hired in for a certain amount of time for certain products, and we get 2,000 products. Okay, so what we were doing is for all the authoring aspects, and when we're using tools, so we're using tools that we've licensed. Okay, that's a B2B relationship, because the tool provider is providing a tool that allows us to do our authoring work or translation work, which then we create the content in order to provide to convince companies to buy our products, okay, and our services. Who those are going to usually be maybe the CIOs and the CFOs of companies that will then consume or use our products. Okay, so the language industry is always B2B, except in the language teaching situation. But the language industry for solution and services is a B2B relationship, because it's just all these, and think about the whole vendor network of all these translation big language service providers, multi-language and single language multi-service providers. They're working with all the freelancers. That's again a B2B relationship, because the whole situation of all the outsourced translation is again a supplier and a provider relationship in order to provide a service that service is being sold to a company like SAP or whatever company, that company can actually do the B2C selling of their products and services using the content that has been translated, authored, and then translated, written or translated. And then that you see, so it's a workflow, and the whole B2B aspect has multiple layers, depending if it's in-house, if it's externally, outsourced to vendors and all those things. Then we call these partners. Sometimes it's the whole thing. Are we vendor-supplier relationship or vendor management, or just a partner management? It's all B2B in the end, okay? It doesn't really matter what we want to call it to make it seem better or whatever, and for good reasons, okay? But it's really B2B. And it's not B2C, and that's the key. So what I want to say in this, I'm getting down here to 15 minutes. I want to close this up here because I want people to watch this and stay with it, is that if you're a language solution provider or a service provider, you need to think B2B. What you're doing is a B2B, it's not B2C. And so everything you're doing about discussing quality and all that, you need to think that you are only in a B2B and you're not working with the end customer, the end user at the end. Okay, you're just helping others to be able to get the content for their relationship to have a B2C where they can be B2B in the end too, but then it's going to be B2C in the end. So, so you're one or two steps away from the B2C relationship, or the service. And just keep that in mind when you're doing if you're in this language industry, because this is I think there's a bit of misunderstanding or misconception about this, and there's always people saying we need to be close to the customer and all that. Well, sometimes you can't be, because you just can't in that relationship get to the end customer, end user, because they're two steps away. It's not even the customer; they're the person that you're working with. That's even there may be an intermediary that you're there. They're another layer that got the contract from an RFP that came from another customer. And you might be three levels away. So you need to understand and accept that you're in a B2B situation and just deal with it, but recognize it and handle it. But don't try to convince yourself that you're in a B2C situation, because that will get you frustrated. And when you understand how this whole workflow is, then that really helps. So make comments on the video, make comments on the LinkedIn post, or wherever I'm going to Facebook, where I'm going to put this thing. But and I'm not saying I'm willing to have feedback, but I just want people to grasp this, and not try to confuse it with a different type of situation where B2B, B2C. And we could go into a whole thing of C2C, and C2B. I mean, we could go into all those different matrices, but I just want to set that scene and explain that, because I've seen it confused many times, and seen that people are trying to apply the wrong approach or framework to what it actually is, and then it just gets people frustrated. It gets it just can be difficult, and get into frustrating situations. So thanks for your feedback. Please put your comments. Willing to hear. And it's all about discussion and dialogue. And let me know if this video format helps too. You can imagine here I've got the big stack of paper underneath the computer holding it in place, so it's not wiggling and dropping. So it's just at home, and that's the way it is. But let me know what you think about the content, and if I'm explaining things that seem correct, or if I'm completely off and you think so, please tell me. Okay. Thanks so much, and have a great day.